Dearest gentle readers, we return to the TFR and its usual scheduled program, which has been off for a while because of inclement weather. But we're in mid-progress on the warm-up portion as we look at the execution of the left-hand withdrawal from the front. Mitch is looking good there. Not quite certain why he accelerates a little bit instead of just drifting all the way back. Oh, it's to get a little bit of food. Maybe that was questionable. I don't know. I would have drifted all the way back to get to the back as soon as possible because I don't really like cars and I'd rather go 2 wide than 3 wide, but I guess it works. And perhaps I am being a little bit nitpicky. But life goes on. Up front, got Dean from the Rio squad, and it looks like Bryce also, and I believe he too has joined the Rio squad again this year. So it'll be good to see how he does. I know he's just completed the Old Man Winter race and did quite well as far as timing and whatever. So we'll be looking for hearing of his results this year. Looking rearward there, we had a good shot of Jonathan of the Rio squad next to Scott Paglia in the yellow back there. And I will point him out again. Scott's now riding for the newly formed Corn Doggy squad with John Lawyer, who is a longtime TTH, TFR member. And it's cool to see that another team has entered the foray into the Fort Collins cycling community. It's always nice to have things shaken up there, and it'll be good to see what kind of results they can pull off. I believe John was the 40-plus cross racing champion, state champion this year, so a good foundation to form a team. And there's a shot there with the yellow Corn Doggies kit, has that taco yellow color, which I really like. And of course, myself being a big fan of yellow, really love what they've done as far as the fashion there. Got Jonathan in the Rio kit, and it looks like that might be the 2026 Rio kit with the newly changed Rio squad. And that will be fun to see what will happen with them battling with the new local teams. But I digress. Anyway, everyone here looking good. Handlebar to handlebar, riding like a team. This is the way it should be. My watts aren't horrible. Warm-up watts 32nd. It looks like 150, 160, and that's what I like to see. And I'd like to take this time to thank Jimmy Allman. And you see him there in the breakaway kit on the right-hand side for providing his telemetry for today. And we should say that Jimmy has been fortunate in his luck, and he has both won entry into Unbound as well as the legendary Leadville 100. So we're looking for him to get really strong this year. And he's hired Gail Bernhardt as a coach. So he might not be able to participate as much because it might not fit into his schedule, but we will be cheering him on. I might even have to go up there and watch him race Leadville. But I digress. Here we go. Time to go. A little bit of chatter there amongst the teams. No one's looking to assert authority here. Dean kind of railed around that corner, and no one is going to chase him. People are seasoned here, and they know that you just can't go whipping around that corner. So everyone has been seasoned, and we're going to bring him back slowly. And I guess I should mention, maybe sometimes Dean doesn't know his own strength. And one of the riders in this group said to me, and he is nicknamed Dean Bam Bam. And for those of you who are familiar with the Flintstones, you'll know why. But we digress. But there's love here. We love you, Dean. Looking rearward, Jonathan the Rio, hanging in there good. Got the Corn Doggy squad represented in the top 5 here. And it looks like there are lots of teams that are just here on the TFR. It seems like from the roots of the TFR, we used to be just only 1 or 2 team members, and pretty much now everybody is on a squad. Dean's been brought back, and now Jimmy Allman going to the front, tapping out a tempo. No doubt this is probably part of his training plan for Unbound and Leadville, and a bunch of other races that he's planning on doing. Full squad for the breakaway. So we've got serious racers here. I can see at least 4 serious teams in the group today with Rio and Corn Doggies and Breakaway And I think might be First City or Mio or whatever they're calling themselves today. In any case, everyone is just in good form. Looking at my wattage, things are starting to hot up a little bit. My 30-second power looks like 240, and I'm so happy to be like on the road bike. Not the fast road bike, but the tarmac. And with the windy conditions, did not think that bringing out the blue would have been the wisest thing. Up front, looks like we got Felix in the white, pulling off there, Jimmy pulling off, and I'm wondering why Felix isn't riding for a squad this year. Kind of surprised nobody picked him up, given his talent and his successes in some of the recent local races. Jimmy pulling off, tapping out a good tempo as Corn Doggies, and this might be the first time a official Corn Doggies rider has taken the lead in the Prospect Sprint Zone. Looking at Jimmy pushing out good watts, drifting back, and no one is going to let him in. So this might be something like, does he want to go in? He's looking for a spot, and Jimmy's super polite. So, and he's hanging out there too. Look at his wattage. Not super high, but you know, there are watts being bled off with him hanging out there, but he seems perfectly comfortable. And I believe this is perhaps telegraphing the strength that we might witness later on in the season. Nice formation here. Everybody steady. I'm looking good. Heart rate 169, which it's probably a little higher than I would like, but you know, not horrible given the COVID years. And I'm hoping that hopefully by midsummer that'll be back down. Heart rate creeping up to 170 for me. Jimmy drifting back there. And we're looking at our watch. Jimmy's 32nd was like 20 something. I'm like 180 something. Scott at the front tapping out the tempo. Daniel on his wheel and Dean next to me. I'm kind of in the wind. Not quite certain what we're trying to do here. Hoping that people will come through. Looks like, yep, Daniel wants no part of being in the front anymore either. And it's time for others to come through here. It looks like, and I believe Dean is up front here. We got Travis representing the TFR squad in that bright yellow there. No one on his wheel. Yes, and it is Dean tapping out the tempo. And I remember this spot, and I was wondering for two reasons. Dean's in the middle of the road, and there's two reasons I don't like this. One, he's in the middle of the road, and two, it is freaking rough. I was like, I like to ride in one of the car tracks. Preferably the right one. It's a lot smoother. I can feel the watts being bled off here. But I'm like, thinking to myself, Dean, why are you in the middle of the road? And okay, maybe it's to avoid that thing, but I don't know. There's the flick of the elbow, and now I'm going to drift over into the smoother section. My watts have creeped up to as like 270, as you can see, to whatever. And Dean just hanging out. He's looking over like, where are you? Bam Bam, your watts are a lot greater than mine. So there's no way I'm going to come through as fast as you would like. In any case, now my heart rate's up to 178. Oh, ouch. And I figured maybe that's at my limit, but, you know, I don't need to be up there too long early in the season. And Travis takes over. And Travis has a most interesting stroke there, like super slow cadence. I'm not certain what to make of that, but I guess it works for him. Ed coming through, and like others are like not wanting to follow coattails and get too close to the pointy end of the stick, because that is where watts are lost. I wish people would get back to like more rotating and whatever, but this is okay. It's kind of a race-like scenario, and sometimes drifting back, you are in a bad position. So it's better that, okay, you know, spend your time up front, train or whatever. Looking rearward, there's some people that are resting back there, some of the big men. Daniel looking strong there. And I'm still out in the wind a little bit, but I'm trying to find myself a nice slot in here somewhere. But the pace is still high. My watts aren't horrible, but like 200 and something. And here comes Travis, has given up the ghost, and it looks like Danny stamping his authority on the pedals, trying to use this little inflection point to inflict a little bit of pain on the rest of his competitors. Stamping his authority out, letting the new Corn Doggies team know that he is there, letting Breakaway know that he is there, letting Rio know that he is there. And he looks back to see if any damage was done, and not really. Travis sagging back. Hopefully he'll be able to get back in. Rick on my right looking strong, and he's made that inflection. And I'm hoping to get in here. Like my 30-second power. Oh, my heart rate was up to 180. Yes, I'm definitely on the rivet here. definitely on the rivet. It is like a hard thing to do, but I am still there. And like they say, do hard things. It's good for your neuroplasticity. It's good for your brain. And let me tell you, at this point, it is hard. And Jimmy had made an attack, and it was a strong attack, and he's gone off the front. And looking at Jimmy's 30-second power, 330, and he was just waiting. And this is early too. Looking at the map, there's about 2 miles to go, and Jimmy is up the road taking a flyer, and no one has gone with him. This is where I would have liked to have had the Ron cam, and perhaps the breakaway squad would have communicated a little coordination there, and that's always nice to see. But Jimmy is up the road, and it looks like his power is still dropping a little bit, but he has quite the gap. But we are not phased here, and no one has panicked. In the old days, there are people that would have just gone off all cowboy. That's right. Gone up the road and figured that they would be able to make something happen on their own. But now, patience and people working together, and this is what I like to see. Maybe we don't do this as often as we should as far as coordination in the non-sprint zones, but this is a reasonable effort, and you can get a glimpse of Jimmy up the road, probably 100 yards up there. A good effort, and now comes the climb. If he would have waited a little bit longer, if he would have held his passion back a little bit longer, if perhaps more seasoning was in his brain, but the enthusiasm, the lust for the warm day to get out there was perhaps too much. Or maybe it's part of his training plan. I don't know. But anyhow, if Ron Kennedy were with him, if the breakaway had a team, he would be able to ride coattails and perhaps have another attack. I'm waiting for the day that there is actually coordinated attack by some of these people here. In any case, I am set to go bring back Jimmy. Sorry, Jimmy, my buddy Jimmy, but I must do my part to bring you back into the fold. And here we go. Jimmy looks back, still content to keep pedaling. And I believe Dean was like, yeah, don't go by him, just sit on him. It's like, yeah, I'm not going by. I ain't nobody's fool. Now Travis makes an attack, and I think this is posturing because I know he does not have the strength to hold off anybody, but it's always good. And here we go. A serious attempt here. Daniel going for it, and he's no doubt going to go straight by, and he brings the rest of the field. And now I'm wishing that Jimmy would accelerate, and I'm thinking to myself, please accelerate, please accelerate. And he tries a little bit too late, and now I'm able to, but Doug and Brian are unable to hold on to the train. And while now I have plenty of extra horsepower that I could have held on, unable to. And Brian sycophantically just takes Doug and uses him. Could have helped him earlier when the gap was starting to open, but he waited too late. Waited way too late. Timing. And for someone who has a lot of seasoning as a racer, I thought would have known better. Any case, I'm out in no man's land. 30-second powered, like 300 right now. Heart rate 181. And I thought, I could almost taste them, but no. Just don't have it. I am totally at my limit here. If I were in the fold, I would be able to hold on to this. I'm certain. No, that's not just hubris. I speak the truth. But I can't. And alas, my heart rate 181, probably the highest I've seen all season. Okay, it's early season, but higher than I thought it should be. But I did not feel bad. I mean, I felt like, I was on the rivet, but I wasn't like seeing tunnel vision or anything. And so at this point, I'm like, okay, let me just hold my own. Maybe I can reel somebody in here, but I don't want to work too hard. I think that it's better to give up all you have to like stay on. Like a lot of people like to just push over the top and keep going. And I'm like, then you didn't try hard enough to stay on. That's my opinion. You did not try hard enough. And you need to go hard. You need to go zone 5, zone 6, zone 25 if you've got it. Because that's going to make you stronger. Not holding like zone 4 for like another 2 minutes. That ain't going to do nothing for you. But why am I warning my competition? So just do what you do. I'll do me. And we'll see what happens at the end of the season. You've been warned. In any case, a nice crest by me. Brian opportunistically pushes up over the top without spending a whole lot of time in the wind. But that's okay. It's the sprint zone. And you can do whatever you want. And a good time was in fact had by all on this one, and this one's kind of over. Yeah. So I wish I'd captured something here. I didn't capture it, but there was some shenanigans here. Like, we let this car go, and there was one rider that went in front of the car. It was like, no, and we were chastising him. But I digress. All right. On to zone 2. Here we go. It's supposed to be the kind of the recovery zone. I look at these sprint zones as like intervals where you kind of recover a little bit, not push too hard. And I can see my 30-second power is like 41. So I'm okay with that. 5-minute power, 71. Good recovery here. And now we're going to make the corner. And what do we spy with my little eye off to the right with the TTH menace? Okay, I say that affectionately. In any case, I do not want those people to catch us. We can't have this. And there's no alarm at the front. I'm like, what is going on here? So people are starting to bottle up. And I need to go to the front to figure out what's going on. I said, did you not see TTH? And look at this, all over the road here. And at this point, Dean was telling people, oh, let's wait for TTH to catch and pass. Let them by. I'm like, what the hell? Let them by? Okay, I don't use the F word too often, but that's some shite right there. No effing way. First of all, if I thought the TFR could ride a single file line and let them by, yeah, I might go along with that. But there's no effing way that I can get everybody coordinated by the time that happens. So it's time to string it out. If I want people single file, we got to string this crap out. And this is what we're doing, stringing it out. And, you know, the second reason is if I was TTH and I was chasing us and we just let them come by, the TTH people, they are warriors. They're like Klingons. You do not hand them victory. They must earn it. Like, we are part of the chase. And if any of them say that they are not motivated by running us down, they are in fact not telling the truth. But in any case, to deny them their prize, a chance to do something, that would just be way wrong. And maybe that's my opinion. I like my opinion. In any case, we're pretty strong here. And had we taken off a little bit earlier, if had there been more coordination, we might have been able to stave them off for another 5 seconds. But in any case, I'm drifting back. Heart rate 174. And you can see them, a ramming and a thumping. Then we got Mitch there hanging on, Rick back there, and here they come. Here they come. Yeah, chasing hard. And this is what they do. They come in, get our slipstream for a little bit of a break, and then swing out. And there's corn doggies on the front. Looks like John Lawyer. Yes, once again, you can see the second sighting of the corn doggies jersey as they go past us. And at least we're reasonably strung out here. You can see some violation of the yellow line almost by the TTH people, but they don't have the same rules of engagement. So it's all good. Because they don't have the same rules of engagement. So I'm drifting back. Life's good for me. They pass us. This is where it would have been good to have the Ron cam. Although I think Jimmy has a camera too, but I don't want to burden him too much. If Ron's going to be out too many weeks, but if Scott comes again, maybe there'll be more cameras. That'll be fun. Although, not having the camera makes editing easier for me, but, not as much fun because I have no idea what's going on up there. In any case, I can't see what's going on. So we're going to have to fast forward a little bit here to see if we can figure out what's going on. So I know some of the TTH people went to the right up here, and let's just fast forward because nobody really cares about me droning on about nothing here. We get to the waiting spot here. And we can see life is good. Only one rider was over the yellow line, white line here. It's illegal to stand in the middle of the road, but it is the entitlement of arrogant, lycra-clad cyclists that do that. So this is where I had to give my little lecture or whatever about not letting the TTH people come through. But enough of that, as it's time to move on to the next area of concern. So here we are. I pressed the button for us to move at harmony, waiting for everybody to come through here, and it's gonna be go time. So here we go. I think we got a pretty strong tailwind here, which is why we're kind of just chilling. You can see my 30-second power just going down, and people just going for it here. They are just going for it, and we used to have coordination and we used to have exercises here, but we don't. People just pop off. Bam, 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 bam. Just popping off. Feel good, go. Feel good, go. And that's what it's turned into be. So, I was talking to Scott Polya. He hadn't been around in a while, and he was like surprised at what was going on here, and he offered assistance in corralling some of these cats. And so maybe we can get back to the old school of like working together instead of just popping off during this section. But I digress, and we'll just kind of like speed through this because nobody really cares. Getting near the end, we're just kind of strung out. People are doing whatever they want. And the one thing about getting strung out, when you don't have to be strung out, is if I was a car, it's a pain in the ass to have to pass people that are strung out over a half a mile or a mile because they're not quite certain what to do. So like during these sections, it just behooves us to work together, stay as a group, and it makes it easier for cars to pass. They don't get as pissed off or whatever, so to speak. Anyhow, ramming and thumping, good speed here. I'm not under pressure, but you can see 30 miles an hour, you know, pretty moderate, like 30-second power, because I'm not hitting it hard here. Yep. And there we go, popping off. There goes, it looks like Travis popping off. More posturing here. Yeah, I still think we need to do a TTH edition to this whole thing and see what happens. And then people will learn to work together. Yeah, got to do that. In any case, I ramble, and let's see. Are we heading into this corner here? I think we are. Yeah, let's take a look at this and let's see. I think everyone's a lot more cognizant here that the Eye of Sauron is up on them. And everyone is just, you can see they're trying to not cross the yellow line. You can see this car's, coming. It's not good. So we come in, mostly the lines are held. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Just apexing that one. Well done, everybody. And there's a good illustration that it in fact can be done. Case in point right there. So a little bit of respite here. There's some people that like to just push this all the way to the corner. You have to wait anyhow. Like after those S corners, just shut it down and save your energy for this next unofficial sprint zone. Got Danny here hanging back a little bit, just kind of resting. Maybe he's eating or something like this. Not sure, but I have to go. Got to go around here. Get up front here. Get a better position as we head into the third and final sprint zone. All right. Oh, still doing like 22 miles an hour through here. Good shot of the field here, and there we are. I think there was one rider that didn't wait. They just kept going, and there's like a rider from another group, and I'm like, I saw this guy, and I'm like, oh crap, squirrel syndrome. Like half the people in this ride have squirrel syndrome, not seasoned. They see something up the road, they have to chase it. I mean, that's like Cat 5 syndrome. Ugh, annoys me. There's a time for that, and that's when you're alone, not with a group. Or if the group has stated, hey, everything we see that comes by, we chase. It makes you kind of look like Mickey Mouse, so to speak. You don't see Once or the pro teams, like Pogacar sees someone go up the road, he gonna chase them down. Pidcock gonna chase somebody down. Vanderpool gonna chase somebody down. No. They just stick with the program. Anyway, hanging back here, Daniel has some kind of issue, and the group is going up the road, and I have to go. I mean, Daniel and Dean have enough strength to pull these people back up front, but I do not. And it's a stiff wind coming off of our right shoulder here. And John Lawyer has joined our group, and he is up front. And you can see now that I am under pressure. My 30-second power already 230, and I have not reached these people yet. Got Bam Bam bringing people up as everybody's working hard here. I'm not certain where I am, but I can see that my 30-second power, and this is supposed to be kind of the neutral zone here, like before the bridge, but there's like so much wind, and you can see there I am at like over 400 horsepower for a second there. Scott Polya falling back there, looking over to see like who's coming. I'm going to take some of that. Scott gets some shelter from me as I'm trying to bring back, I think it's like maybe Felix and John Lawyer. Not certain. Got Travis over there who was struggling hard to stay with the men, but he couldn't. Looks like Doug Allen, unable to hold the pace up front either. So it looks like I need to go hard. Still, my heart rate 172, so I'm working. I mean, we're doing 21 like into the wind. Anyway, you could see there's a separation back there already. A sub-selection has been made, as the pace is hard enough now with the wind that a selection was caused. And you can see what's going on here. There's the damage. John Lawyer, perhaps he doesn't know his own strength. Perhaps he does not realize that, in fact, it's supposed to be like a neutral zone until the bridge. In any case, Scott goes up to bring him back, and I'm still pushing kind of hard, as you can see, in the 260s. Giving draft to a lot of people. And this is with a strong man, Bam Bam, etc. Should be coming to the front and slotting over and helping me out. You're the big man instead of just sitting in. In any case, I'm going to bring these people back because I'm going to get my workout regardless. And there goes Danny, opportunistically going to make the jump, not going to help anybody, just going to just bring his ass up there himself. I'm going to remember that. I remember that. And everybody else, take note to that too. You know who the individual riders are. There's Bam Bam also going for it himself. And I am left to bring back these recalcitrants myself. Take note, bitches. Yes, that's in fact, I did bring you back. Even though you had no thought to help the rest of us out. So, what can I say? Any case, it's almost Grupo Compacto. That little surge by Felix and John was enough to pretty much split the group. And I don't know who it is way back there, but there's the bridge. And now here's the official start of the unofficial sprint zone. At this point, I'm pretty spent. Heart rate still 173. People driving hard, ramming and a thumping. Oh, there looks like a wave to one of the TTH guys. I think that might have been Scott Adams over there. In any case, here we go. Felix out front doing some work. And it's a lot of work here. Anybody stuck on the right-hand side, you are pushing a lot of wind, and I am on that side. But it's a good workout. But I can say this. It's a lot easier than being on the gravel bike. And so it looks like there's some acceleration there. There's some folks that are not holding it on. Yeah, it's Corn Doggies at the front, leading out this one. And maybe there is some coordination. Maybe Scott is going to come by and get himself a win. And nope, Jimmy Allman, look at the power being pushed out there. 400 watts as he makes his push to the front. Danny accelerates to go with it. And at this point, no moss. I just don't have it. And so I pull over and let folks, you can see the freshness of these people. They didn't see the pointy end of the stick. And there they go. Just riding up the road. Yep, and I guess if I had the Ron cam or the Jimmy cam or somebody else's cam, I would know what happened up here. But that's unimportant. It's the tactics at that point. I'm certain, probably having to guess, I'd say John Lawyer probably took that one, Scott probably second, maybe Jimmy Allman be able to hang that in there for third. But, I can say a good time was had by all. Travis still pushing through pretty hard here. At this point, I'm just shutting it down. It's I go hard as I can. I don't need to do what I call mediocre watts for the rest of the way up there. Go anaerobic. Zone 5, zone 6, but maybe that's just me rambling. All right, time to fast forward this. Here we go. It's all done. Gonna take the bridge here. Good shot of Mitch. He was taking it easy today. Looking good in the TFR kit. And a good time was had by all. And just for the record, the group did wait up here, so we're good. Till next time, peace out, everybody.